How Mobutu Sese Seko died and the haunting silence of his last years in Morocco. Mobutu Sese Seko once ruled the vast mineral-rich country of Zaire with unmatched brutality and flamboyance. Known for his signature leopard hat, golden cane, and lavish lifestyle, he styled himself as the father of the nation. For over 3 decades, he stood like an unmovable mountain. But the tides of the power turned. Mobutu fell, not with thunder, but with silence. What happened to Mobutu Sese Seko after he was forced out of power? Where did he go? How did the once feared dictator die? These are questions many search for, curious about the tragic fall of the man who once saw himself as Africa's strong man. The truth is both painful and poetic, a story of betrayal, disease, loneliness, and the final quiet breath of a forgotten king. The fall of power, a dictator in disgrace. In May 1997, after 32 years of dictatorship, Mobutu Sese Seko fled his homeland as a rebel forces led by Laurent Desiré Kabila stormed Kinshasa. Mobutu regime, once propped up by the West during the Cold War, had lost its international favor, its army, and the will of the people. Zaire was no longer it to command. He left not as hero, not even as a prisoner, but as a man desperately clinging to what little dignity he had left. Accompanied by his wife, as wrecking entourage, Mobutu flew from city to city, first to Glotolit, his luxurious jungle palace, then to Togo, and finally to Morocco. The king of Zaire had become a political ghost, wandering in exile. In Morocco, a lion in cage, Mobutu's final days were spent in rented villa in Rabat, far removed from the opulence he once basked in. Gone were the golden escalator, the private Concorde jets, and the parades of ministers. The man once dined with President royalty has now reduced to watching satellite TV, receiving occasional visitors in a quiet Moroccan suburb. His exile was not only political, it was physical, emotional. Mobutu was dying from advanced prostate cancer. The disease had spread painfully, eating away its body, just as betrayal and abandonment gnawed at his spirit. He was no longer feared, he was no longer admired, he was simply dying, and the world had moved on. Perhaps the most agonizing part of his exile was the silence. Few world leaders called, most former allies had vanished. French and US was once armed and supported him, offered nothing but distance. Even many family members, worried of being associated with the fallen dictator, avoided the spotlight. Mobutu watched as Kabila renamed Zaire to Democratic Republic of Congo, erasing even the name he had given the country. His portraits were banned, his statues were torn down, his legacy stained by corruption, cruelty, and kleptocracy was being erased. The death of Mobutu Sese Seko, alone and forgotten and buried. On September 7, 1997, Mobutu Sese Seko died in Morocco. There were no state funerals, no public mourning, no national flag draped over his coffin, just a quiet death in foreign land and a simple burial in a Christian cemetery, far from the land he had once ruled with the iron fist. Even in death, Mobutu was denied closure. His body lies in Morocco to this day. He never returned to the Congo. No government has officially requested his remains. No museum was built, no national reconciliation, only silence. He died not as a marshal of Zaire or the father of the nation he once claimed to be, but Mobutu Sese Seko Ngendu wa Banga, a man who lost everything, including his place. How did Mobutu Sese Seko really die? Mobutu died from terminal prostate cancer, worsened by stress, shame, and exile. He had been battling the disease for years, but his health deteriorated rapidly after his fall from power. Those close to him say he experienced intense physical pain. Yet, what hurt him most wasn't the cancer, it was the knowledge that he had become irrelevant. There were whispers that Mobutu had hoped to return to Congo one day, but remember not as as a dictator but as misunderstood leader. But that day never came. His dream of final homecoming was buried with him, legacy in shadow. The dictator who died in exile. Mobutu Sese Seko's story is not just about how he lived, but how he died. His death in exile is a warning, a mirror, and a lesson. Power can lift a man to skies, but when it fades, even giants fall hard. In life, he built palaces where his people starved. He praised authenticity while looting billions. He spoke of unity while silencing dissent. Yet in death, Mobutu faced the truth alone. History may tolerate tyranny for a time, but it will never forget. Today, many Congolese still wrestle with his legacy. Some remember the stability his regime provided, others remember brutality, but all remember that even the mightiest rulers can be reduced to whisperers in foreign land. The haunting hand. Mobutu exile and death capture the world attention. Mobutu exile in Morocco and his death marked the end of era for Central Africa. His fall shadow the limits of authoritarian power, consequences of state corruption, and fragility of a man behind the myth. For decades, Mobutu styled himself as all-seeing, all-knowing, yet in the final moment he saw what he had become, a relic of the past world who was eager to forget. No chant, no siren, no parade, only a quiet breath, in a quiet room, in a country that wasn't his. This is how Mobutu died. Thank you very much.